Hello,
Cool.
everyone.
Thanks a lot. All
Hello.
right. So, hello there. It's good to be here. Sorry for the delay there. So first off, I just want to thank the two agencies that are putting this on. I love Ian McPherson and Tom Wilmot. I met them both. Love them. They're a lot of fun to work with. And so I am Brian Alvey. I am the Chief Technology Officer of WordPress VIP. And WordPress VIP is, a big company that hosts a lot of great big WordPress sites. It's weird. Every year, I think that the guy that I was last year, that guy knew nothing. That guy knew nothing. This year I've got it all together, and next year I'll think the opposite. So I never tell the same story twice. I usually talk about what I'm thinking about right now, what I'm working on right now. I am constantly listening to our customers. We have some of the largest WordPress websites on earth that host with us, that work with us on every week. And I travel a lot. My passport has a lot of stamps recently, and it's looking pretty ragged. But there's a lot to soak up. So I'm looking forward to your questions at the end, connecting on LinkedIn, all that. And what I'm thinking about right now is enterprise WordPress and the tension between enterprise WordPress and open source. Right, there's a very big tension there, and the future of enterprise content management in general. So this event is perfect timing, and I'm really excited. So again, Brian Alvey, Chief Technology Officer of WordPress VIP. I joined exactly 2 years ago next week, so it's pretty exciting. So I know more than I did last year, like I said. Our parent company, Automatic, was founded by Matt Mullenweg, one of the creators of WordPress. And our parent company, Automatic, they own WordPress.com, Jetpack, WooCommerce. They even own Tumblr, the giant social media site. That's about 2,000 people at Automatic. WordPress VIP, the part that I'm the CTO of, is about 300 people. And the company tripled in size during the pandemic before I joined. And they've done a really good job of growing a lot and then stabilizing. No layoffs. It's pretty remarkable in this economy. I credit great leadership with that, but it's been very interesting. So our little pocket, WordPress VIP, our part of Automatic, does two really hard things. The first really hard thing is, sort of our day job. We host the biggest and most important WordPress websites on earth. If you have some kind of extreme WordPress challenge, the most traffic ever, the most DDoS attacks, the largest primary database, more tables, more media, more whatever it is, the biggest multi-site, right? And the most complex things, you come to us and we can't say no. There's an auction site one of our customers runs, and it maybe shouldn't have been built in WordPress. It's an auction site, but it works, and they got huge, and they're kind of victims of their own success, right? It just took off, and they didn't really have time to think about the architecture. They just ran, and so I have a lot of empathy and a lot of awe for what our customers do. People do some things beyond the limits of rational architecture, and again, our job is to just, you build it, we scale it, right? We can't say no to you. If we say no to running your WordPress site, who is going to help you? So the second hardest thing we do, which is actually the point of this entire talk here, is we're an enterprise WordPress company inside a consumer company, a completely pure consumer company. Think of, they're like San Francisco during the summer of love, and we're like the Wall Street movie. It is two completely different things. Not that we all wear suits and carry briefcases and stuff like that, but it feels like it on a daily basis. We have, the parent company is all like unlimited AFK. You can work from anywhere. Choose what you want to work on. And then we have, laptop device management for who can or can't access government sites and repos and things like that. We have an executive team. We attend the board meetings. We have people who are like, you can only live in the continental US if you want to work on these government sites that we have. We have BDRs and cold calling and email prospecting on LinkedIn, right? It's a completely different thing inside that company. I'm going to talk about that tension a bit, but it's right for me. I like it a lot. My background is building a bunch of software platforms, always content management systems, building big websites, and I think a lot about this, that I am really blessed that all of the companies that I worked on, the projects I worked on, you've heard of them. It's extremely cool. When I first started working in New York City, kind of in the right place at the right time. I was working with print magazines and the web didn't exist yet. So when the web came along, all those magazines needed to get online. So TV Guide and Business Week needed websites. Those are the first two I built. You've heard of them, right? Again, I was in the right place, right time, and had just the right skills for that. Just enough technology, just enough art, and really publishing was in my blood. So it made sense that CMSs would be my career. I got to build my own sites after that. I got to build my own software platforms, my own businesses. And then right before I joined WordPress VIP, I spent about 10 years out of this industry. I was gone from all of this. I took a big detour in the creator economy. I built two products there, working with influencers and celebrities and things like that. One was a crowdfunding site, one was in video. These were still tools to help creators, the same thing that we all do. But it was more about getting those creators, those stars, paid, and than it was about helping them create better or create faster. And it was a lot of fun. So in that entire career, also different from most of the people I work with, I spent that whole time not using WordPress. It just wasn't my thing. I built all of my own platforms. It was always, I would always build rather than use somebody else's stuff. And but it's interesting. Many of the people that I work with today, especially at our customers, their entire career has been working on WordPress. They learned to program by WordPress. So it's interesting. So along those lines, there's something I think about too, which is I'm not the person using the tools ever. I'm not the creative person. It's a really weird thing. I have this, like Iron Man, this love of Iron Man and Batman and superhero stuff, but I'm not Batman. I'm the person making the utility belt for him. I'm not Iron Man. I'm the person making the suit so that your team of 3 can compete with someone else's team of 30. So it's a fascinating thing. It's maybe a psychological thing. We can talk about that in the Q&A. So let's talk about open source, because I did not spend my career doing open source. And open source is one of the 5 biggest technology movements in my lifetime. I think about technology movements. I think specifically about equalizing technology. When does a technology come around, gain rapid adoption, and change the world and actually level everybody up, make everybody equal again, right? Give us all the same power. And the 5 movements that I think of, pretty interesting ones. The first one was the web coming along in 95. A couple of years later, 98, the term open source was coined. So it was really the web, open source. Right after that, cloud was a really big thing, the cloud in 2002. And then I consider mobile to be really from the iPhone forward, so 2007. After those, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in between phases of these first 4 big equalizing technologies, there's a long gap of 16 years before the next major one. The next major one I see in all of this is AI. So modern AI, all the stuff we got excited about last year, there was a 16-year gap. Now, it wasn't that nothing happened in that 16 years. Social media happened, video got big, blockchain and NFTs, right? Drones, all this other stuff, Clubhouse, audio social networks like scooter companies got big, but none of them changed the world. None of them took all of us and gave us all superpowers and made us all sort of equal like this. So equalizing technologies are a pretty important thing, and open source is really one of the big ones that made that all possible. The way that I look at open source was, for a long time, if you wanted to have software that scaled and run servers and do all that, you had to pay Microsoft. You had to pay some big company somewhere for something. And open source operating systems and MySQL, open source databases really changed everything. Oh, now for free, I can put these things on my laptop and I can do all the things that these big giant companies do. That's an incredible thing that spawns a lot of amazing projects and products and creates a lot of value. So I like that. Open source is a lot, but open source is not really my background. So we'll talk about that too. When I look at what Matt Mullenweg has done with WordPress, I feel like we agree on 2 out of 3 things. We both agree on building tools to help creators be more powerful, right? Both of us do that. Awesome. We both agree that there should be no offices, remote distributed teams. He's been doing it for decades. I've been doing it for a little bit longer. And so we agree on those 2 things. But then after you build all that stuff, Matt's next move is give it away for free. And my next move is sell it to the highest bidder. So I am in the right place at WordPress VIP, right? Working with enterprise customers and all that. And the one time that if you look at what Matt did, he really, more than creating a product, created a movement, an ecosystem, an entire industry that's outlasted all those fads, things like Clubhouse that came and went. So it's pretty impressive. I've tried to open source things in the past, but what happens is I do it. We had one thing that we open sourced a long time ago, and it got a little bit of traction, but then we had big customers, big companies paying us to do work for them. And I just got wrapped up in like, oh, let's go sell millions of dollars of stuff to these big businesses. So again, I'm a good fit for the enterprise WordPress. The rest of the company is a little bit alien to me, the consumer side of it and the open source side of it, the free part. So when I joined Automatic, they have an internal internal blogging system called P2. It's kind of an email replacement where they store everything they ever talk about. So instead of going and looking through email to see what happened, you look through blog posts and comments. And so the first thing you do when you join is you search your own name. So I got to see, the person running WordPress VIP at the time was the person who actually mentioned me the most across all these P2s. And when we open sourced that product years ago, he posted, "Oh, what's Brian Alby doing now? Is this a threat to WordPress?" And the answer is no. WordPress is a juggernaut. WordPress is incredible and inevitable. So it's kind of exciting. And the interesting thing, the last thing I'll say about the open source part of this that I've really come to love and respect even more than I did as an outsider is if you build something amazing and you give it away, every single opportunity you have to keep a little something or give it away, you keep giving it away, giving it away, giving it away. You're building something that's remarkable that's never going to go away. So if you think about, Automatic as a business and the future of WordPress, those two things are related but not the same. So if you build this amazing software and everybody else in the world can use it and build hosting companies on it and they can make more money at it than you're indexing towards making sure the product is successful, that thing lives on more so than your own company. And it's a strange thing to do. I don't have that in me the same way that Automatic has done this. So, but that's why WordPress can sell a 100-year plan on WordPress, because 10 other companies care about WordPress existing so much that it's going to live on for a long time. So I hope that's good news to anybody watching this working on WordPress. So let's talk about enterprise WordPress, because it's a strange little space. Enterprise is different from consumer in that it's really defined by how buying works, the buying habits. It's not about selling necessarily, it's about how they buy. Consumers buy with a credit card. They will pay for something at $10 a month, a couple $100 a year. Enterprise businesses don't buy something on a credit card. They do purchase orders. They have teams doing the buying. It's a whole other sales cycle, a whole different support cycle. So it's a completely different thing. And I think about enterprise WordPress a lot because within Automatic, we are the enterprise division. In the board meeting notes, it doesn't say WordPress VIP. It says enterprise WordPress is doing this. Enterprise WordPress hit these numbers, didn't hit these numbers, whatever the thing is that we're doing. And it's funny because I talk to a lot of people, a lot of you at agencies and working on these big things. I'm like, are we really enterprise? Because enterprise is kind of a different thing. It's not, it might not be exactly what we're doing. Like we do a lot of big media company sites. Maybe the government stuff is the most enterprisey stuff that we do, but it's not exactly the same. It's really consumers versus business WordPress. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. So WordPress VIP as that, right? Like I said, it's a strange business inside of Automatic in that it's just different, right? I usually wear a t-shirt for work because I work at Automatic, but I put on a collared shirt today and cologne, funny enough, I guess, for this event. So I smell really good right now. So the tension between WordPress VIP and Automatic, between enterprise business WordPress and open source, giving it all the way for free, is really huge. We look at our own roadmap and what we build at VIP and what we do for our customers, and we're constantly making these decisions around, like, oh, this is really good. Should we give this away? And I get asked this all the time. And it is so hard for me because I want to say, yeah, let's keep it. Let's not give it away. But I know the parent company. I know WordPress. I know what they want us to do. We have a lot of, at WordPress VIP, we have a lot of headless customers, people using headless WordPress with some other kind of front end. I don't think the .com has many or any, WordPress.com has many or any headless WordPress customers using that. I'm sure it's technically possible. It might be zero. For us, though, it's in the double digits percentage wise in terms of number of customers doing headless WordPress with some other front end, a really complex setup, probably an even higher percentage of our traffic from the site. Some of the most popular ones do this. And we look at these things like core WordPress, free open source WordPress versus WordPress VIP. Where's that line? When our customers need things that core WordPress doesn't do, and we build them, do we give them away? Do we keep them? One of the big things that we have is our customers need a block data API. They need to get block data out as data, not as HTML. So we built a plugin for that. We actually open sourced it. If it's a plugin, we'll do our best to give it away, give it back. And then remarkable things happen. Like I think Time is one of the customers using that, and they posted this on LinkedIn, so it's public information. But when they announced Taylor Swift was their person of the year, they had just an incredible amount of traffic. Like Time was not ready for the Taylor Swift legions to come to their site. And I think the stat was like 100,000 requests per second coming into that. And that little block data API thing that we did was powering this stuff for Time. And the team that worked on it was so proud because now they can tell their family what they do. I powered this thing that could handle Taylor Swift's fans' traffic. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So, but if this question came up recently, which was, well, what if we do something that makes WooCommerce, a product that the parent company owns, 20% faster, some server config or some change that we make in a query, right? Do we keep that? And I think most companies on earth out there, most enterprise companies especially, would say, yeah, we absolutely keep that. Don't give that away. But I think that we always err on the side of just making WooCommerce better for the world is better for us in the long run. It's better for everybody in this ecosystem, everybody in this community, everybody at one of these agencies working on WordPress, on Woo, on these products. It's just better if it all works better. I'll explain why in a minute. But we look at this too, the tension between the roadmap, because core WordPress is working on collaboration, and they haven't built like real-time collaboration yet. They prototyped some things. I think you saw it like the state of the word. They keep showing it, but it's not really ready yet. It's not there yet. And we have giant newsroom customers with hundreds of editors that want to collaborate, that need all these tools. And they're asking us, like, can you just build this for us? And we always have to, do that little dance of, should we build it? Will it be compatible with what eventually comes out of core? So it's a challenge. I don't know that I have a great answer for it, except I know that we go, well, what would Matt do? He'd give it away. And we try to do our best to do that. If it's a service, some kind of thing that we run that costs a lot of money, okay, maybe that's a competitive advantage or a proprietary thing that we do, some search service or something we do that works like that you can't just stick out in a plugin. We'll do it. But for the most part, we're giving it away. But there's always that tension of should we or shouldn't we? It's a very interesting thing. The nice thing about that is watching our parent company celebrate all these wins. Usually the customers they talk about are ours, the government things we do, the Taylor Swift example with Time, right? It's pretty interesting. So when we look at WordPress VIP's roadmap, right? What should we build? Should we wait on core for this? Should we build it in advance? We have to go through a pretty interesting process. And it's something I learned over the last year, which is before you solve something, you should define what you're trying to solve. You should have a problem statement and then a list of solution criteria. So don't solve it yet, but just make a checklist of all the things that you need that you need to solve this right. So for instance, for VIP's product roadmap, it's okay, well, what do customers need? Is this a roadmap that gives our customers what they need? But is it also something that VIP is good at, that WordPress VIP has, unique talent for and really wants to work on, that our team wants to do? Is it a roadmap that's not the same as what all of the other WordPress hosting platforms do, either within our company, right, Pressable and WordPress.com, or outside of our company, competitors? And then we have this one other weird thing, which is it something that Core is already doing or not? WordPress Core, the actual open source free WordPress project. So it's fun to try to figure out how to plan and what people are going to work on based on these interesting tensions between enterprise customer needs, enterprise business needs, and one of the most remarkable open source projects in the history of technology, right? So let's talk quickly about what is the future of enterprise WordPress. I'm not going to say AI because it's not AI any more than it's mobile or cloud or any of those other equalizing technologies that I mentioned before. I actually think when you look at our space, when you look at content management, enterprise WordPress, but broader, all of enterprise content management, you look at something like Adobe. They are a big DXP, right, digital experience platform, meaning they have a suite of like 12 big features that they bring. So when you use something like Adobe, you get all those. You're not going to use Adobe plus something else. You're going to use all the Adobe products, right? And I'm just talking about their CMS stuff. So the web CMS, commerce, forms, personalization engine. They have analytics, digital asset management, right? A lot of those things. What is the open source alternative to that? What is the free, portable, open source, independent alternative to a closed source giant like Adobe or one of these other big players? I look at that and I think there's room to compete with that for all of us. It's not like us competing with each other here, any of these WordPress platforms. It's the entire like enterprise WordPress ecosystem here competing against giants like that. We can compete with that. We can thrive. I think about VIP. VIP makes millions of dollars per quarter doing this, and Adobe alone makes $1 billion a quarter doing this exact same thing: web, content management, analytics. So yes, there's plenty of room for all of us in that. And so I've done a lot of things. I'm old, and so I get asked for advice a lot. And somebody recently asked me, they're in sales, not even in online or digital stuff. They were just in sales, and they wanted to learn to code and join a startup. And my advice to them was, don't go to a boot camp and then join a startup with 3 weeks of Java experience or 6 weeks of Python experience. Terrible idea, because you're going to start at the bottom. And let me see. I'm sorry, I'm getting a noise in my ear. So ignore that for a second. So anyway, what are your strengths is my advice to them. And it's the same with all of us here. So think you do better than anyone you know. And so leaning with those things, and the beeping is going. So I'm going to end. I'm not sure what it is. Let's see. Oops. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know what that was, but anyway, there's a lot we can do. There's a lot we can build, and I'm glad we're all in this together. And thank you. Let me go look at the questions. Here we go. So I'll look at these questions here. Hopefully you can still hear me. What's the best upside to open source that can turn enterprise clients into evangelists? I think showing them the case studies. I mean, all of enterprise sales is about proof, social proof. Somebody else is doing this. Nobody wants to be the first. So just showing them that we're able to host these giant sites, Rolling Stone, New York Post, all these massive things that use this. They're using open source software and they're doing it successfully. Another one, based on your experience in enterprise space, what is WordPress's biggest advantage as an enterprise solution, and what's it missing? So it's kind of missing all those other features, right? Forms, right? Everything's a plugin. I think that's actually its greatest strength, is that it's the hub, the connector for all those services, and not a suite of 12 things that you have to buy, all of them. And I'm going to skim through these here. Let me see. What do you think enterprises do enough to support open source? It depends. I would say most of them no, but enough of them do. So we have some customers. I know there are people like at Penske, which is the Rolling Stone and Variety and all that. Some of their people there, I think one left, and like all I see him do is contribute to new releases of WordPress. So I think people do a lot of that. It's pretty incredible. Do I struggle with any of the open source concept? Probably not anymore. I just, I think I've seen that you can build something. If you think of all the things I built, they're big, but this one big crazy thing, WordPress, has been given away for free for 20 years, and it's way 1,000 times bigger than anything I ever built. So you can't compete. You can't argue with success. So I don't think there's anything wrong in this at all. Let me see. Most of us know WordPress is a fit for enterprise, but not every client thinks that. They think it's just for blogs. Yeah, it goes again to sort of proof of social proof. showing them, here's how all these other companies are doing it. It's completely possible. I mean, if these giant government sites, if these giant media brands, and if these, Salesforce.com's website runs on this, like if all these companies are doing it, that's really what it is. It's the social proof. And then two more questions. Seems like hosting companies, yourself included, are on the way to proper enterprise business engagement, yes, but even some popular enterprise plugins and enterprise users are still consumer products. It's funny, I think about this all the time because our parent company has very popular consumer products, right? I don't know if there's 100 million blogs on WordPress.com. None of them are bigger than any one of our customers, but all of them combined are the largest WordPress multi-site in the universe. It's way larger than any one of our customers. So I don't know. I think it's interesting to watch something that is able to be a consumer success and an enterprise success at the same time. So how can we align our enterprise offerings across all this? I think coordinating and telling a good story. I think events like this, where we come together and commiserate and share, and just knowing that, again, there's plenty that we can do. And I'm sorry if the beeping noise derailed me, but at the end there, but that there's so much that we can do together, and really, like, why spend time competing with each other? There's giants out there, so much room to grow, so much we can eat, so much we can do. I think it's this cooperation, these events like this, these amazing agencies pulling people together for an event like this. And how do you ensure security as you add additional plugins? So we test a lot of things. We actually have like read-only file systems on our sites, on our servers, on our web servers. So you can't get an exploit and then upload something and then, take over a server. So we do things to make these things hardened and more secure. But it really is, actually, I'll give you a different answer to Jessica Laga's question here about this. I think people think that because it's open source, you can see the code, so you can hack it easier. And I think the opposite is true. If there's 10,000 eyeballs on something, it's way, way, way harder to have exploits get in, to have flaws and security holes get in. So actually, open source counterintuitively can be way more secure than closed source. And the last one, how can WordPress compete with proprietary CMS platforms that have large marketing enterprise sales departments when the WordPress project hasn't gotten much focus on marketing to enterprise? So I don't think the WordPress project will ever market to enterprise, Siobhan. I think that we do that. I think it's our job to do that. I think we're still in the early days. If you think of, WordPress VIP makes a lot of money, but compared to Adobe, right? Like I mentioned, every quarter we make zero. Like we don't even exist, right? So I think it's the early days, and we have to get the word out. So events like this, open source in the enterprise, WordPress, enterprise WordPress, it's a really big deal. So this is the start. So thank you, everybody.
Hey everyone, I am back on the stage, and Brian can't actually hear me, so we really appreciate you, Brian. We're going to chat later, and I'm going to tell him how much I appreciated his session. But for now, thank you, Brian, and thanks everyone for your questions. I will see everybody in the next session. Thanks so much. Bye bye.